So I'm out on one of my walks and I forgot the piece of equipment that I purchased that makes it possible for me to see if I am on camera or not. So hopefully I record all of this with me on camera and talking to the camera. Um, yeah, I've been upping my mileage for my walks. I've been doing this up until COVID. And then I had COVID and I didn't walk for a week. So I cut it down to about half for the start. And now I'm at the end of my vacation time and I'm bumping it back up to where I was. So today I walked over to Bean Trust, which is the furthest cafe from my house. And I got myself a cup of coffee and I'm sitting here in Central Cemetery in this little, I don't know, seating nook. It's kind of a gathering spot, it looks like. It feels kind of witchy. It's like a bunch of stones. I'll get a picture of it at the end. But one of the things that I have been contemplating is the idea of authenticity in creativity and authenticity in art journaling. And what does that mean? I see the question of authenticity coming up and being authentic in your art journals and authentic in your art, authentic this and authentic that. And what does that mean? So I did what I usually do, and I grabbed my trusty pocket notebook and a pen and my cell phone, and I wrote down some questions. And I'm going to read you the first questions that I had. And I also took a little video of myself writing these things. Authenticity. What does this even mean? What does it mean in regards to art journaling? And can you even not be authentic? Can you be inauthentic in an art journal? So the first thing I did was I pulled up the Oxford English Dictionary on the Googles and looked at the definition. What is authenticity? What does that mean? The quality of being genuine or real, legitimate, and true. And then a little further down on that page, an example was being true to who you are. And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. So if you're art journaling, are you being true to who you are? And if you're not being true to who you are you art journaling or journaling in a way that is actually effective? That's a good question. Might come back to that in a minute. So then I started looking up some like other definitions and other ideas. The first thing that popped up for me was Forbes, an article called Authenticity, the Courage to Be Yourself. And they defined it as the highest level of self-awareness and expression of a growth mindset, which feels a little biz-bro to me, but whatever. Continuing on, furthering the quote, we know exactly who we are and what we stand for, and our self-esteem doesn't depend on how many people like us or agree with us. So their idea is that authenticity is this growth mindset, being open to new things maybe, but also not being beholden to other people as part of your authentic self. And then frontiersin.org, which frontiers in what? Anyway, the essence of authenticity is congruence between an entity and a person, place, or time as claimed. Then they went on further to say congruence is the essence of authenticity. So being congruent with who you say you are when you say that about yourself, which makes sense. Mindtools.com in their article, Authenticity, How to Be True to Yourself. You are true to your own personality, values, and spirit, regardless of the pressure that you're under to act otherwise. So that's a good point, is that goes back to that Forbes article where they're talking about pressure, outside pressure to not be who you are, to not be true to yourself. Psychology Today, which as a therapist, I kind of question including them, but sometimes they have really great writers. I've had a number of professors who've written for them, and they pay. Individuals considered authentic are those who strive to align their actions with their core values and beliefs with the hope of discovering and then acting in sync with their true selves. And again, it goes that congruence, that in sync with your true self. So the things that, as I was reading, I read a bunch of other articles about authenticity, and the things that kept coming up was this idea of genuine, realness, being truthful, legitimate, true to yourself, being true to who you are came up in many, many articles. But also not just true to who you are, but true to various aspects of the self, your personality, most specifically your values, which came up all the time, and the spirit of who you are, regardless of outside pressures or things encouraging you to not be authentic. And also done despite what others' perceptions are of us. And congruence, that truthfulness, the trueness of who you are to yourself came up again and again and again. And so I was thinking about this, and what are the implications for art journaling? To be authentic in your art journal, what does that mean? And I think if you're using your art journal or any sort of journaling as a tool for self-improvement, you are probably being authentic in your journal. Because what is the point of art journaling or journaling if you're not being authentic, if you're not exploring these deep personal questions? And I think that is what separates an art journal and a journal from other forms of journaling or artistic expression, is that it's a self-exploration. And so I think that's a really, really important distinction between what I sometimes call scrapbooking with paint, or the more artistic side of art journaling, where you're creating these finished spreads. Art journaling, in the way that I'm looking at it, is more of a self-exploration, and it's a little messy. You're not necessarily looking for a finished art product, you're looking for that process. I might need to hit pause because the family's coming through. So what are the implications for art journals? Continuing on with my thought processes a moment ago, to be authentic in your art journal, I think you need to identify how you're using your art journal. And if you're using it for self-improvement, you're being authentic. I mean, that's, to me, the end all be all. And there are things I think you might want to explore in your art journal if you're trying to be more authentic, to figure out what your authentic self is. And so you might want to explore these things: your values and beliefs, your personality, your spirit, your self-esteem, your motivations for not just art journaling, but a variety of things in your life, whatever's going on in your life. Pressures in your life, the things that are encouraging you to not be your authentic self. And congruence. Are you living in congruence with your values, beliefs, personality, spirit, self-esteem, and your motivations? And I think that some conclusions that I came to, like when I feel like I'm being inauthentic in my journaling practice, or just inauthentic in my life, I think for me, it might be specifically when imposter syndrome is creeping up on me and causing me to question myself. Like, who am I to have this conversation with you, the viewer, about authenticity? And it made me think about, what are the other ways we feel inauthentic? What makes us feel inauthentic? And I think for me, it's when my behaviors, the things that I do in my life, are out of alignment with my values and my beliefs. When pressure in my life pushes me into actions that don't align with my values and beliefs. And this is why, and I'm hoping to do a whole series of videos about this. I need to start talking with my hands to the camera because it may cause focusing issues. I want to do a whole series of videos about values journaling, because I really truly believe that values journaling, whether you're doing it written style, which is how I tend to do my values journaling, I tend to start with a whole lot of writing, almost a journal's worth of writing, and then move into art with it. So values journaling is where you really look very closely at what your values and beliefs are. I start with a word list. I have a word list, a PDF document, which I can share. I'll share it on my blog, a link to a blog post associated with this, so that you can download that list. And it's a list that I've compiled from doing a lot of different research over the years about values journaling. I used to run a values journaling workshop when I worked at not the partial program, but the day program when I worked there. And I led, probably hundreds, maybe 100 people through this values workshop. And I think it's one of those things that when you are exploring your values and you're looking at the things that are important to you in your life, and that's what values are. What is important to you in your life? And you're looking at those things and you're labeling them and you're saying, this is a thing that I value in my life, and it's very important to me. And so you kind of look at the list of the things that are very, very important to you, and you just make a list of them, and then you explore each one of those and write it. But I'll do a series of videos on values journaling, and really go super deep on the topic. There are lots of websites out there that do this well. There's some that do it not so well, but hopefully we can kind of explore that together. And it's something that I think every time you have like a change in your life, you're thinking about making a change, doing values journaling can really help you kind of solidify why you're making changes, why the change is important, and how to go about it. So that's how I use values journaling. And for me, values journaling was 100% necessary and helpful in my life. It was something that I have done consistently with every major change in my life. So I'm hoping to do it again, not because I'm having changes, but because I had a major change in my life. So it's something I think you bookend change with. So for me, I was thinking about making a change, and when I was looking at changing my job. So that's neither here nor there. I can go back into that in a different video. But anyway, authenticity is being true to who you are, your values, exploring those values. And if you're art journaling with any sort of look at improving yourself, then you're being authentic in your art journal. I think it's really hard to be inauthentic in an art journal, especially if you're art journaling. If you're getting in there, you're getting messy, you're making art, you're being creative, you're being authentic. So there's my video on authenticity. And next up, we'll talk about values journaling, maybe with another cup of coffee from this place. It's pretty good. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for supporting me. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs down. It's all information. Leave a comment about anything you'd like to hear me talk about or explore in these video series and these vlogs. And I'm game to check it out. Thanks everyone. Bye. Oh yeah. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this, head on over to my Ko-fi and you can buy me a cup of coffee in your show of support. Most of the money does go to either cups of coffee, buying new equipment so that I can produce better videos, art supplies, of course. So yeah, head on over to Ko-fi. You can support me there. You get additional content like additional blog posts. I'm trying to figure out how to do special videos for Ko-fi. We'll get there eventually. So yeah, thank you. Bye.